Just poop. YouTube people, on today's episode, we're going to be working on a 1999 Ford F350 with a big old 7.3 liter Powerstroke. Now, this old girl, she got a lot of miles on her. 272,750 miles. That's a lot. Still has original injectors, original turbo. And what we're going to be doing to it, we're going to do new injectors, new turbo, new up pipes. And we're going to see how this thing runs. Hopefully, runs a lot better. She's a little bit gutless. Also has a hard start cold issue. Unless you plug it in. If you plug it in, you let it get nice and toasty, it'll fire right up, no problems. Just, it's typical with these 7.3 liter injectors. Every once in a while, you just gotta replace some stuff. But stay tuned. Let's check this out. Okay, we're moving this turbo here. So we got 11 millimeter. That's at both ends of these boost tubes here. Pull them up out of the way, and then 5/16 or 8 millimeter, and pull this intake tube boot off here, and then down at the turbo as well. We're gonna work on getting this turbo out of here. So yeah, let's see how that happens.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
This intake piece here has a hose here on the bottom, and it's usually got a crimp hose connection on there. Typically what I do with those, you can just twist this enough, lift up a little bit, and then it pops right out of there. Alright, with the intake out of the way, I'm going to put some rags in these intakes here. Keep in mind that there is an O-ring where this mates up to the turbocharger. Hopefully the new turbo will come with new gaskets. New O-ring here, and then there's a couple O-rings here. Next, we got to take this turbo out. Let's see, I believe those are 15. No, they're 13 millimeter bolts. There's two, one on the front, one on the back. You have this exhaust clamp, and you can kind of see that one right there. You got two exhaust clamps. Both of those are 11 millimeter. You pop both of them off. Take these two bolts out. Turbo's ready to come out. Got the turbo out. One thing I forgot to mention is there's this exhaust back pressure valve here. just has this special little clip here. Clips over and then pivots and locks on the arm there. Keeps it from coming undone. Also, you got an O-ring here, an O-ring in there. This is your inlet. This is your outlet. I believe that's the way it goes. Also, on these 7.3s, you got this back manifold here. These are called your up pipes. They'll leak through there. This particular one, we're replacing them with a fixed one, so we won't have to worry about a leak that way. But yeah. Turbo, baby. So for those of you that are curious, you can order parts through us too. This is new reman turbo here. Take this plastic off and show you the differences. Let's see how the kind of wheels are a little chewed up in there compared to the new one. We will have to transfer over this exhaust back pressure valve here. The bolts on, bolts from here, and then I'll bolt this on over here. This particular turbo, let's see, where did I set those? Over here. Did come with new O-rings, so you got your intake one, and one's for the turbo itself. The wastegate is already put on there. It's already set. So we can leave this wastegate on there. This little guy, I can show you one of the exhaust bag pressure valves on. Look at that, right there. I have a feeling that the old turbo might be stuck. But we'll know that when we pull it apart. You can get and see all these bolts out. They all came out pretty easy. Put a little, it's called croil. Stuff there's pretty sweet. If you ever want to order any, the cheapest place to get it, right there. That is where you get it. Smart business idea. The can is their business card, believe it or not. But got all these bolts out. Just had one. Let's see here. It's got a little bit of a booger on it. Fought me a little bit coming out, but I was able to get it out. Might have to see if the dealer's got one of these laying around, or if I can salvage this one. But now you take this. So this is what that exhaust back pressure valve is. Just opens, closes, uses oil pressure from the engine to control. It's got a little solenoid on the front. But also with these 7.3s, they have an exhaust brake, so they'll have a switch on the dash, and that switch just kind of closes this every time you lift off of the throttle. Just boom, get you a little exhaust brake pressure, and that's a lot of times what blows the up pipes out. They got a little collar in there. I'll show you when we get that apart, but all the back pressure just blows those out. That's why we're going with the solid fixed ones, to hopefully alleviate that, since this one does have an exhaust brake. But take this dude off here. Yeah, it's kind of crummy up in there. Let's see here. Don't see anything horribly wrong. I bet she's probably just a little tired. She's been in there for almost 300,000 miles, so yeah. There is not a gasket on these. Looks like no gasket, but we'll get it cleaned up. Oh, sorry. We'll get this cleaned up since there's no gasket on there. Get this nice and flush before we stab it on the new turbo. I had to go to the dealership to get a new bolt. That one You can kind of see it's galled up, maybe. Camera focus. Anyways, here's the part number right here. Comes with all new bolts and all the gaskets. So we'll get that installed and go from there. Okay, got our new bolts installed here. Now we're going to torque them. These particular ones torque to about, I think it's like 185 to 250 inch-pounds. So we're going to convert that over to foot-pounds. So we're going to do about 20 foot-pounds. I'm going to kind of go in somewhat of a star pattern and then circular pattern here. Also, a little pro tip on these bolts before you install them. Recommend putting a little anti-seize on them, just on the first few threads. Garrett recommends that. I would recommend that. Just keeps them hopefully seizing everything up inside here once it gets all hot. All right, well, it's been a couple days waiting on some parts, but they finally showed up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull that down pipe or up pipe assembly out and put the new one in, and maybe get this turbo put back in, and then start on the injectors. This is the up pipe, so this hooks up to the back of the turbo. Then your pipe goes in here, and then you got there's a donut here that slides inside there, and this collar, and then top of this pipe. And when it happens, especially ones with exhaust brakes, it'll just blow out around here. And then the exhaust brake doesn't have any power, and then you start losing your exhaust gas to spool your turbo up, and you have a little bit of a low power issue. So still gonna mount to your factory turbo here, but instead of those donuts, it's actually got a flange, and it comes in there. And then also in the kit, we got gaskets for there, and it comes with new hardware too. Pretty nice little kit. Curious how it's gonna work. It's also got your expansion joints here to help with the heating and cooling, maybe not break on you. Now we're going to take valve covers off here, over here, so we can expose the injectors and start taking those out to remove them. One thing to remember is oil rails. And take the plug off the back of the head, as well as fuel rail plug on the back of the head. That way all the oil drains out the back, and when you pull the injectors out, it doesn't fill the inside of the injector with oil and fuel, causing it to hydraulic when you try to go start it up. Alright, so we got these plugs out. These are the oil roll plugs, go in the back. Got to replace this O-ring, and then this is the bolt in the back for the fuel. And then, as you can see here, well, maybe it's kind of dark in there. Got the injectors exposed on this side. There's there's an oil deflector little piece here. I believe it's a 5mm Allen. Take that off, and then you got an 8mm bolt. Take that one loose, and the holder will slide and let you flip up over this other bolt that's hidden back over in here that you can't really get at. Other than that, that's where we're at. Alright, got the first 4 out. Getting ready to put 4 new injectors in. Kind of explained to you guys wrong. There's this plug in the back of the oil rail I guess you could take out, but if you don't want to lose the oil out of your system, there's a plug here and a plug here that when you pull them out, it will actually drain the oil from this rail back down into the oil pan, so you don't lose any of your oil and you don't make a mess down the back of the engine like I did. But I guess that's what you do when you're a little rusty at it. But either way, didn't get any oil on the cylinders, so just keep on chugging along. Got this set back together. Everything's buttoned up. Got the oil plug in the back of the head plugged in and tight. And I got the fuel rail plug in the back tight. Got all the injectors hooked up, glow plugs. It's plugged in. Valve covers on. Now, we'll go over to the other side. It'll be much easier because you don't have this heater box to fight with you the whole way. Well, yeah, let's get to rocking. This side, there's not too much to unplug here. Just this 10mm bolt here, back this out. And then you can take the nut off each one of these brackets and just lay the other connector and bracket over into the valley of the engine. And take your valve cover off, just like the other side. These are the two plugs. So they're not a Torx. They're actually an Allen. The size is a 1/8. Sometimes they're pretty tight in there and you put a little stress on your little bitty Allen wrench, but if you tap them with a hammer like I did, kind of just shocks them a little bit and they come out fairly easy. This injector is an AE injector. The LL on there stands for long lead. Typically on these 7.3s, this number 8 injector is an Alpha Echo instead of a Alpha David. I mean, it'll work with either one, just they had a TSB about them for, they call it a cackle. But yeah. Finally showed up today, so we're gonna get this one stabbed in there so we can get this project wrapped up. Okay, so all the injectors installed, got the turbo in there. Still need to tighten the downpipe clamp up here and then the up pipes down at the manifolds. Put the air intake back on, that intake, boost tubes, and she's gonna be a ripper, dude. Alright everybody, as you can see, nighttime is upon us, but the old 7.3 is back in commission. Now we gotta see if we can get her to start. I did pre-crank it a little bit so it did get oil pressure back, because we did have, there's air in the high pressure oil right now, so it might take a few cranks to get her started, but I think I about got her there. Let's see what happens. Success. Now we gotta take it for a test stand. Well, that's gonna conclude the 7.3 video. Everything's running tip top. Way better than it was running. So let's see if we can get another, I don't know, 100,000 miles out of her. But stay tuned. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, share. Just put it all out there. Thank you.